Welcome back to my channel, Sunshine Shoulders. I'm Calvin. Thank y'all so much for stopping by today. You know, men come to the Philippines to live out their wildest dreams, but they want to keep it a secret. They don't want anybody to know, because it's not the story that they've told their friends and family while they're over here, and even themselves. A lot of men would tell a lie. So that's why when you watch YouTube on the Philippines, you know that my channels and the different channels about relationships and life over here, you always get the PG version. You get the family version. They don't want the real story to get out. And there's another reason too. You know, some of us over here think we're hot shit. Oh, look at me, I'm 60. I've got a 25-year-old wife. Oh, look at the house I built. Look at the car I'm driving, the motorcycle I've got. Because the real story is any 60-year-old man over here who wants a 25-year-old wife can have one. But they don't want you to tell that story. And I learned that the hard way. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. See, before I started my channel, when I was over here, I came here in December 2018, and I used to watch these channels. I was like, something ain't right, man. They're not talking to me. Because this isn't my experience. This isn't the Philippines where I live. It was too soft. It was too sweet. People were walking on eggshells. They were skirting around the edges. So me being naive as I am, you know, on YouTube and what's really going on over here, when I started my channel in 2020, I just started talking about what I'm seeing right in front of my eyes. Living and experiencing. I call it the nitty gritty. And man, people lost their minds. I paid a high price for it. People came after me, and I couldn't understand why. It took me a long time to realize why. They don't want that story out there. So the only way you're going to really get the true story about the Philippines and what's really going on over here is you're going to have to come over here. And I know you're saying, oh, duh, Calvin. No, because a lot of people, they have no intention of ever coming to the Philippines. They want to see it through your eyes, the vlogger's eyes, but you'll never see it, because they know if they tell the real story, they're coming for them. Well, who's they? Well, the foreigners, the trolls are going to come for them, because see, the Filipinos, it doesn't offend them. First of all, they don't watch these channels. Second of all, what we're talking about isn't new. They're grounded in reality. We act like we're the first foreigners that started coming over here. What I talk about and what you see some people talk about over here has been going on for decades. And they know it. You know, we don't talk about anything illegal. We're not talking about anything criminal. But when you start talking about tune-ups and the unspoken agreement and what else we talk about? The girlfriend experience. And how women will bend over backwards for you and all that stuff. They don't want that story out there. They want you to think that they're doing something special, that there's something special. But men are over here, and this is why we come here, to live out our wildest dreams, to fulfill every fantasy, these pent-up fantasies we've had since we were teenagers, probably. And when you come over here, you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. You're going to see men with just beautiful, attractive young women over here. And all sorts of crazy stuff happens, even though it's legal. We don't come here to get married. That's a consequence of all that. Guys are they have their minds blown to the point where they say, man, I got to marry her. I can't let her get away. I've got to keep spending to keep her around. I don't want this to ever stop. It's not this sugary version that you're getting. I'm not talking about all the Philippines. I'm talking about our experiences. This little bitty circle of vloggers and expats. Because there's literally over 1 million expats here. I'm talking about all nationalities. But I'm talking about the ones who come over here and they meet the girl on the dating site and all of that. Or they're up in Angeles City or one of those other places, Burgo Street or one of those places. They come over here for fantasy. But they don't want you to know. They want to keep it a secret because they've told their family something else. They told their friends something else. Some of them have even told themselves something else. They're lying to themselves. Oh, I'm not really over here, for a free golf or whatever it is, for a Diddy after party. Because a lot of that stuff goes on over here, man, And you can talk about that stuff in a way that you won't disrespect the country or the people because they already know what's going on. As long as you ain't over here really, human trafficking, sex trafficking, being a pedophile and selling drugs and all that stuff that's illegal. See, that's what they'll really come after you for. But the foreigners will come after you if you tell what's really happening over here. So you've seen, even me, I've toned it down. Because I just get tired of that, the harassment and the frustration and, having to deal, sit in front of the authorities and, explain myself. And you see a lot of these other channels, they toned it down. You very seldom see channels anymore with women in bikinis, even though they're all over here. You very seldom see that now because they basically censored us. They said if you do it, if you tell the life I'm really living over here, you're going to pay for it. So I just want to tell you guys, unless you actually come over here and experience it for yourself, you'll never get the true story of this place. Okay, you're just going to always be on the outside looking in. You're always going to get the PG version. You're always going to get the family version. Okay, but don't ever fool yourself. Why these men are coming over here in droves. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing illegal about it. But it's not the whole story. And see, what I really want to talk about, I'll be having conversations, grown people conversations. My viewers are 45 and over. The only time I can really do that now is on my members only channel or maybe my Patreon because they're watching me. They're trying to silence me. Filipinos don't have a problem, but they will point the Filipino toward me and say, oh, look at what he's saying. And see, to them, I'm not doing anything special. But the foreigner will make them not like what I'm saying. And it's not just me. I'm using the personal pronoun to make a point. Because it's other people. Man, it's watered down over here, man. It's really disappointing. And I'm going to tell you why it's disappointing. That's why men keep losing their money. And that's why they keep coming over here, getting turned upside down and making stupid decisions because they're not really getting the 100% story, guys. They're not getting the true story. They're not getting the nitty-gritty. They won't let you give the nitty-gritty. The hot shots over here. The tough guys over here who want you to think they're something special and they're doing something special. They don't want the real story to see the light of day. Now, once you come over here, they don't care because you don't have a YouTube channel. So thank y'all so much for stopping by. I got up this morning with this on my mind. Because I'm like, everybody knows why you men are coming over here, to live out their wildest dreams. To fulfill a fantasy, a pent-up fantasy a lot of them had in their sick minds, a lot of them, since they were in high school. And there's nothing illegal about that. There's nothing criminal about that. But they'll tell a different story. And all you got to do is sit and watch YouTube and you see the stories they tell when they interview the guys. They never really tell you why they're here. They never really tell you what goes on behind the curtain. We keep that curtain securely closed. You can't see behind it. The only way you're going to see behind it is you get your butt over here. So if you're in America, if you're in the Philippines, wherever you are, find your heart to help somebody. Not a day goes by that I don't help somebody, man. I'm going to spend the wheel today. It's Sunday here. I was supposed to spend it yesterday, but where we were in Sikihor, see, we're back in Dumaguete now. We're in Heidi's cabin again, our favorite place when we stay in Dumaguete. We'll be here overnight, and then we're headed back to San Carlos City. I'm going to pick up my passport at immigration, well, JRC, which is right next to immigration. I tell the taxi driver, the tricycle driver, immigration, if you tell him JRC, that I don't know what you're talking about. Because if I don't know anything else, I know this one thing for sure. We help other people, we help ourselves. Take care. Stay out of trouble. I'll see you next time. Don't do anything stupid. Stop lying to your friends, to your family, to yourself about why you come to the Philippines. Your reasons are your own. But if they're to live out your wildest dreams or to fulfill a fantasy, okay, so what? There's nothing illegal about that. And as long as you don't do anything illegal, nobody's going to bother you. What we talk about has been going on for decades over here. Filipinos know that. They don't have a problem with it unless some foreigner points them in your direction and say, hey, look, he's putting your country down. They don't even look at it like that. They don't even watch our channels, really. YouTube tells me only about 8% of my viewers are in the Philippines. Okay? And those are foreigners over here. They very seldom look at my YouTube channel. Now, they'll look at my Facebook page because that's where we do the spin wheel. But don't fool yourself, guys. As long as you're not selling drugs, sex trafficking, human trafficking, pedophilia, and all that old filthy, nasty, ornery stuff, that is criminal. And it will get you thrown up under the jail if you're lucky over here. There's no reason to hide. Come out from out of the shadows. Because once you get here, we see you anyway. I just can't tell my viewers anymore. They've censored us over here. They, meaning the foreigners, not the Filipino people. They don't have a problem with us telling the truth. Okay? Take care.